Hello and welcome to the second module of our Introduction to Aquaponics course. This module covers the benefit of aquaponics. So what is aquaponics? Well, aquaponics is a balanced integration of two industries, aquaculture and hydroponics. So you can see where we got those words aquaponics from. Now we are using the byproduct from an aquatic species to grow plants. Basically, we are feeding fish. Fish waste is converted by naturally occurring bacteria. That fish waste that is converted by the bacteria is usable by plants. And in nature, we've been taking advantage of this for thousands of years. Farmers have been catching fish, as you can see in these examples, in the different wetland areas, and been building corrals so that they can capture fish and eat over it. Another way of looking at it would be to say that we have fish that are raised in a tank. The water from that fish tank is pumped to the plants. The naturally occurring bacteria that we talked about in the last module convert that fish waste into nitrite and then nitrate, which is a usable plant nutrient. The plants are able to take that out of the water and they return clean water back to the fish area. Before we talk about why aquaponics is beneficial, it helps to understand what are some of the challenges in agriculture today. One of the biggest challenges that we see is that our water resources are becoming increasingly scarce. So for instance, we use about 70% of our fresh water in order to grow food that we need. And in an increasingly developing world, we're using more water per person. So we're in direct competition with using water that we need to drink and water that we need to grow food. Another big challenge is that there is a lack of the land that we can use to grow food. Predictions by the year 2050 say that we're going to have 9 billion people and that there is not enough physical land to grow enough food to feed that many people. So this is something that we're looking forward to in the industries that we're exploring with hydroponics and aquaponics. There's also the challenge that in a lot of these areas there is poor soil quality. We can see evidence of this in areas where they have to add a bunch of different fertilizers to the soil. And in some of these areas where the quality of the soil is poor, we do see those things like wastewater going down the Mississippi River and ending up polluting Gulf waters. There's also the issue that we have changing weather conditions. Not only do we have changing weather conditions in individual locations, but we're seeing global climate change in general. So areas that could traditionally grow food are seeing that they're not able to grow food in the same ways that they used to. So some of these places are forced to switch over from one crop to the next or completely abandon their agricultural operations. So how can aquaponics help us? Well, aquaponics uses less than 10% of the water of soil agriculture. And we'll get to see how that came to be a little bit later on when we learn about Dr. James Ricosi's contribution to the field of aquaponics. There are no soil-borne diseases. That means that there's less potential for There are no soil-borne diseases because there is no soil. For instance, we don't have to deal with any pathogens like E. coli or Salmonella, A, because there is no soil, but mainly because fish are unable to produce and culture those bacteria in their gut. So what are some of the benefits of aquaponics? Well, aquaponics uses less than 10% of the water compared to traditional soil agriculture. And we soon will learn how that came to be when Dr. James Ricosi started to develop aquaponics models at the University of Virgin Islands. We see that there's no soil-borne diseases because there's no soil. Things like E. coli and Salmonella are unable to grow in the gut of a fish, so we're further able to reduce the potential for those soil-borne diseases. There are no external fertilizers or pesticides or herbicides. Aquaponics makes its own fertilizer, and we don't need any herbicides because there's no weeds and there's no need to till because there's no soil. Aquaponics also allows us to significantly reduce how far the food goes from farm to our plate. And we'll get to see an example of some crops that we can grow in aquaponics and how far some of that food travels from around the world to a central location such as Chicago. Some more benefits of aquaponics are food security. So I just mentioned that it is able to bring food closer from where it's grown in order to where it's eat. So there is this idea of food security. What's food security? Is that like the guards who are out at the fields protecting the food from the pests? No. No, food security is this idea of being able to have enough food that we need in order to provide an adequate nutrition. So aquaponics is able to grow food indoors year-round. It works in places that have poor soil quality because we're able to grow year-round and indoors. We can overcome some of these soil quality challenges, and the issues with changing climates are further mitigated by controlling the environmental conditions of agriculture. Another benefit of aquaponics is that we are helping to protect our native fisheries. So instead of dumping the wastewater from aquaculture into the environment and promoting algae blooms, or instead of going out and catching a bunch of wild fish in order to satisfy people's appetites, we can grow fish in a more controlled setting and allow some of our fisheries and our wildlife habitats to recover. And one of the unseen benefits of the aquaponics industry is that it actually enhances the local economy by providing green job opportunities. So not only are we providing jobs for local industries, we're also providing jobs in unique areas, and we will get a chance to hear about some of the multiple disciplines that aquaponics offers us.